Hello all and welcome to Fergi time at fantasyfootballhub.co.uk with the Game Week 5 deadline just 1 hour away. My name is Fergie, and for any new watchers, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and set the alert so you don't miss any of our content right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Absolutely great to have you with us again on this Game Week 5 Eve. Evening to Matt, City Eagle, Fraser Love, Nick Pasquet, Jan Kalikoski, Rohit Seeker, Sam Ferguson, Jan Wine-Sunham, and everyone else. Dalam as well, Sam Ferguson. Great to have you with us. Absolutely fantastic. If you have any A or B dilemmas, please post them in the chat and I will try my very best to answer as many as I can. I will also show my own team during the stream. First question straight away from Harry Tattersall. Ferran Torres nailed. According to the Man City forums, they give him an 80% chance of starting. I can't see why he wouldn't start other than just purely, he started the last, 5 or 6 games in all competitions, but I think he's absolutely brilliant. David McCann says, Fergalicious. Indeed. Good evening there, David, and VRX. Great to have you with us, and Oberis as well. So just a bit of team news first for what we know, and hopefully Quash cut the room as well. So obviously Calvert-Lewin, gutted for everyone who brought him in. Couldn't believe he didn't play on Monday. He was in training, I think, on the Thursday, on the Friday, and on the Saturday, and he didn't play on the Monday. And apparently he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. That's really, really tough going for anyone who brought him. I nearly brought him myself for a hit. I would have been absolutely devastated. So if anyone did, really, really hard luck. But obviously it's probably time to get rid now with, some other great options in that bracket there. Jana, I almost nailed my name. I'll go for Yanni Kalikoski. Hopefully that's a bit closer. I'll touch on Rafinha now. Bamford was confirmed fit yesterday by Bielsa, which is obviously fantastic news for his owners who brought him in early. A lot of people earlier in the week brought Bamford in for either Antonio or Calvert-Lewin because they had the exact money, but there was a bit of a potential scare. He's just pinging in his hamstring in a post-match interview last weekend, but apparently he's fine to obviously start and he should be started this evening. So well done everyone, who brought him in, because that would have been another kick in the you-know-whats if he'd been out after DCL and obviously after Antonio's red card. Yeah, man says Calvert-Lewin messed me up last week. It's really, really tough. It was a great fixture for him as well. Obviously, they scored the 3 goals. He would very have likely have been involved. I'll answer a couple of questions very, very quickly. Who would you play, Benrahma or White? Owen, I would go for Benrahma. United are they're not good at the back. They concede a lot of goals. And they've only kept 1 clean sheet so far this season in all competitions. Even losing to Young Boys Champions League. I know Wan-Bissaka had a red card, but they've got issues at the back. Maguire is just, I don't know. I just think Maguire's overrated. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I think he's overrated. Stefan Al sells choosing Bamford over Ronaldo. I'm not sure I would do that, Stefan, but that's up to you if you want to do that. Antonio to Bamford if wildcard on game week 7. So I'm in the exact same boat, Anil, and I have decided to keep Antonio because Antonio plays Leeds next week. Bamford hasn't looked that good. His stats are okay. So I'm going to play this week a 4-5-1. I'll show you my team in a little bit. But I'm keeping Antonio because I think his fixture against Leeds in game week 6 is very good, whereas I think Bamford's not that good. I do have Rafinha though, so maybe I am a little bit kind of biased there. FPL Rover, would you captain Jota or Trent over Salah as a differential? Probably not. I always think it's the penalties. Look at the Chelsea game, right? He didn't play well. Liverpool didn't play well, until the red card, or threaten. But he's just always there for the penalty. So that's the only thing. Trent, he's having a fantastic. He looks absolutely brilliant. I think he's a good option. I just cannot get away from Salah with the ownership and effective ownership. It's probably a necessary risk, in my opinion. If you're brave, then do it. Darshan says Antonio is a definite keep, and Devon says thoughts on holding a transfer until the next round. If you've got no issues in your team, Devon, I don't think that is a bad shout at all. I've made a transfer. I didn't have to. I've made one. I'll show my team in a bit, but I've taken out Soufal for Semedo. So I've tried to make a bit of an upside transfer for the next 2 or 3 weeks before our wild card. But there wouldn't have been any harm at all in holding on over Sufal. And if I'd have had a plan for Game Week 6 to maybe, switch some funds around and get into very specific plays for Game Week 6 or 7, if I didn't wildcard, I may have held myself. I'm targeting 7 for the wildcard. Just for those asking about Rafinha, so there were some rumours on Twitter and social media this afternoon that Rafinha and Harrison apparently may not be fit this evening. So let me just tell you what we know. So Ben Dinnery from Fantasy Football Hub has confirmed that Rafinha has travelled with the squad. Harrison could potentially, there's rumours he could be out with, either has COVID himself or is having to self-isolate. Rafinha, a supposed thigh injury. But Ben Dinnery, who I trust implicitly, has said that Rafinha travelled with the squad. Now, he's travelled with the squad, probably means he's fit, hopefully means he starts. If he doesn't start, to answer the questions we're going to get, I would not be taking him out for a hit, and I would just play him, because the last thing you want to do for your mental health more than anything is mess around with your team just based on some crappy rumour, and then he starts and hauls. That won't do any good at all. Ahmed asks, Rudiger or Tierney bench Fergie? I would go for Tierney bench personally, just because Chelsea just look absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can never say it. They look superb at the back. I would never, I just go for Rudiger. It just screams 6 points. You'd be pleased if Tierney had 6 points. Just go for Rudiger 6. I can't see Spurs scoring. They looked dreadful last week. They looked dreadful midweek. That's what I would do personally. Ben Young, would you play Dennis for Watford or Ayling? I would probably go for Dennis there, Ben, personally, if I had the choice. I've got Ayling in my team, but if I had Dennis, I would probably play Dennis over Ayling there. Dave Riggins, Fergie back. Indeed, I am back. And Sanjay, great to see you back. Thank you. Apologies, I missed a green arrow this week, but obviously Will and Adam did an absolutely fantastic job. I'll be back now for the rest of the season. I've had my little holiday abroad. Had a few drinks, got a bit of a headache, but looking good. I'll be there for the rest of the season. Pennacool says, free hit this week. Who should be my keeper? Wow, I haven't got the fixtures in front of me. That's a really interesting one. I would probably, Edison kind of sticks out maybe, as a favourite there, unless you're tripling up on Man City. But I'd probably have to think about that. If anyone can help him in the chat, that would be good. Shrijan, heard I'm having a hair transplant. I'm not sure where you've heard that, Shrijan. I'm very, very proud of this. A little story. When I was 26, which is about 14, 15 years ago now, I shaved my head for a bit of fun on a cricket tour with all my pals. All my pals' hair grew back, and mine didn't. But I've got this, I've got this little unkempt and shaven bit here, which I probably need to do something with. Guanza, Rudiger or Semedo. Now, in that instance, I would play Semedo, because Semedo's got massive, massive upside. Home to Brentford, Wolves have looked good at the back. He missed 2 one-on-ones, I think, in the end last week. He had a really, really good chance to score a goal. I've brought Semedo in this week. Spoiler alert for when I reveal my team in a few minutes' time. Emma says, Reece James for me. Yeah, Reece James will almost certainly, I think, be in my Game Week 7 wildcard team. Dalam asks if you should take a -4 hit for Ayling to Semedo. I don't want to triple up on Leeds' assets. No, I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't do a hit for it. I mean, Leeds are playing Newcastle. Ayling was unlucky not to score last week. Had a good chance of his knee in the first half. I wouldn't be taking a hit for it. I wouldn't. The only reason I would take a hit normally is to either get in a banker captaincy option or to restructure your team. A like-for-like change for me personally isn't worth it. But it's up to you. Samuel, hello Fergie from Ethiopia. Welcome, Samuel. Actually, great to have you with us. Isaac asks Rafinha or Torres. If I had the choice, I'd probably go for Torres. Massive, massive upside, especially with the plum home tie against Southampton this weekend. Simi, should I start Allen or Gilmore? Simi, what are you doing with those pair in your midfield? That's a dreadful pair to have. I would probably go for, I suppose, Gilmore. Probably, slightly more attacking intent, but that is a tough old call. That is there, buddy. Fred Jones, how about Spurs defence? Personally, wouldn't be looking at any Spurs for quite a while. I thought they looked awful against Palace. Even before the red card, Palace were playing very, very well. Looked woeful midweek. I would just leave it at the moment. I think they were, I'm a Spurs fan, and when they were top after international break, I couldn't believe my eyes, in all honesty. I'd probably just leave them for the time being, and so we, see a massive change in fixtures and form. Just a bit more team news. Stones and Laporte confirmed out for Man City, so it looks like Nathan Ake maybe lining up alongside Ruben Dias this weekend for Man City against Southampton in defence, and Firmino has been confirmed out. So those who have Jota, which includes myself, Jota looks like he'll probably play. He did play midweek and he rested Marney, which is a bit of a concern. And he did hint in his press conference, about rotating his team a little bit. I just can't see, why he would rest Jota personally. Might do, but he did hint at rotation. But Firmino is out, which is all you can really ask for. Jota is as nailed as he can be. If Klopp plays games and maybe starts Origi and things like that, then it could be a bit different. But Marney will definitely play. Not sure about the rest due to Klopp's comments, but what can you do? It's just guesswork, right? So what can you do? Adam Webster has been confirmed out till after the international break for Brighton, which is a bit of a pain for them. He's a really, really good defender. But Dan Burn is back, which is good for Brighton, and Buendia and Martinez may be back for Aston Villa as well. So good news for Villa to have some of their players back. I thought they were very unlucky against Chelsea last week. Watching the highlights, Mendy made some absolutely fantastic saves, and I thought Aston Villa played really well. I think 3-0 really flattered Chelsea, but just also kind of highlights probably how good Chelsea actually are. Anderson says, keep Shaw or transfer in Reece James, then I'll have two with Lukaku. I'd probably keep Shaw for a couple of weeks. They got decent fixtures. They got West Ham, Aston Villa, and then Everton. You could do you could look to get Reece James in early, but again you're taking out a good player. So when I look at transfers, the way I look at it, there's always two parts to the transfer, but a lot of players only tend to focus on one, and that is the player they're bringing in. But if you look at all the great managers on the hub, all the team revealers, all the advice is always, and this is off the best FPL managers out there, give your players a chance. And if you're taking out a perfectly good player for another good player, there are exceptions, obviously, like Bruno and Ronaldo, right? There are exceptions. But with Shaw and Reece James, are you that sure really that Reece James is going to outscore Shaw significantly in the next 2 or 3 weeks? Because I'm not. So I personally wouldn't. I'd leave in Shaw. He looked good last week. He got the assist. Their defense isn't the best, but I'm not sure. This week they got Spurs. I expect Chelsea to beat Spurs reasonably comfortably, but with Kane up front, they've always got a chance of scoring. And then they've got Man City the week after, whereas Shaw's got a couple of half-decent fixtures, so I would leave that there. Pepe, KDB, differential captain. Wow, that would be a differential captain. But, if there's a week to do it, it potentially is this one, because they've got that really nice home fixture against Southampton. Albeit, it's probably worth saying that Southampton have played okay these last couple of games, in all fairness. Mudasa says, best 7 million midfielder. Immediately, my thoughts jumped to Jota, I think, but he's a bit more, 7.5. Damari Gray looks really good, as does Decore. Nothing kind of really screams out at the moment. I think all the best options are probably highly low, own options. The one which did impressed me last week, 7.5 million, but Pepe for Arsenal did look very, very good last weekend. I know he's not 7, but he did look good last weekend. Pepe was really unfortunate not to score. How he didn't score for Aubameyang's goal, I'll never know, but he looks sharp, and I think he could be good. I can see Arsenal slowly improving now. They got their win last week, albeit a scrappy win. They got their win. Dalam says best replacements then for Harrison with 0.6 in the bank. So what's Harrison? Harrison 6, so anything up to 6.6. Go top of my head is quite tough. I think at the moment, Damari Gray probably looks the best option, I would say, or Conor Gallagher, even though Gallagher's fixtures for the next 2 or 3 are not the best, but there's a 1 million save in there as well with Gallagher. If you're playing maybe 4 at the back and 3 at front, you can play a 4-3-3 and rotate Gallagher. I think Gallagher is probably a great option to hold on to for a few weeks. But he's looked I say that he looked dangerous in every game. We always thought the Spurs was a hard game. We absolutely battered Spurs last week, so maybe Gallagher's the way to go and to play him. So yeah, I'll go for Gallagher. I do think as well with Smith Rowe. I know he was benched last week. I'm not sure if because he was a bit ill. But again, he came on, he nearly scored. I think Smith Rowe is going to have a part to play in these coming weeks as well. Salim asks, Ronaldo or Salah captain? Really tough one this week. I'm going for Salah. His record against Palace is absolutely fantastic. I'll show my team in a couple of minutes now. If you remember last season, he came on as a sub and scored a couple of goals, albeit Palace have improved. But Salah at Anfield, it's just a bit obvious. United against West Ham. West Ham, have been good this season. And even though Ronaldo, he did score his couple of goals last week, I didn't watch it live. I looked at the highlights. I do think both goals were, potentially preventable. And he scored again in the week. Really good goal. But I don't think United looked massively, massively dangerous. They weren't kind of, reining in the shots and stuff. So I'm going for Salah. But just on Arsenal did have, I think it was 30 shots last week. I know they had 22 in Game Week 1 as well. Just come back to I think Arsenal are going to be a bit of a sleeping giant. I think they're going to wake up soon. So just something to look out for there for me. Jason asks, Semedo versus Marcel, as does Ahmed. So I have gone for Semedo. He's in my team here. I brought him in this week. I brought him in for Soufal. A couple of reasons I brought him in over Marcel. I think the Marcel is a good option, but he has got Aït-Nouri there just kind of looking over his shoulder the whole time. And even this afternoon, the manager's come out and said that Aït-Nouri is there looking over his shoulder the whole time. Any slip up, any mistake, anything is in the team. Also, I know Marcel got the assists last week, but Semedo, because he easily have had, had a goal or two. He's nailed. He looks more dangerous. That's the reason I've gone for Semedo. And Amiro says, move from Benrahma to Pepe. Yeah, I'm wild carding in Game Week 7, and Pepe is on my short list potentially there. Paul Great is going for Trent as his captain. Best of luck there, Paul. Tazzle, Gallagher or Gray, really tough one. I do think they're the best 2 options, around that 6.5 million or under bracket. I'd probably say Gray, in terms of fixtures, in terms of Everton, will score more goals. Maybe Gallagher as a longer term holds. I think it's a 50-50. T27H said Greenwood to Jota today. Was it a good move? I don't think so personally. Again, it's one of those transfers. I think Greenwood has returned so far in every single game he's played. Was it scored 3 and 1 assist in the 4 games? Jota probably, has the bigger upside this week, but again, it's that thing of taking out a player as well as wanting to bring in a player. It's taking out of the player, which is the thing that kind of it kind of rankles you and hurts you. Philip Holmstrom, I don't have Rafinha. Should I take him in? That was my plan. That's a really good question, Philip. If it was your plan anyway, kind of based on what we know, which is that he's travelled with the squad, there's zero findings to any of these rumours. If it was me, I personally would. So I'm starting him regardless, right? So I haven't got the decision to make that you have yourself, but I personally would bring him in if that was your plan anyway. You know what the worst case scenario is? He doesn't play and he plays next week, which is the worst case. But Leeds have got a nice run of fixtures now for a long time. So if I were you, I would do it personally. But completely up to you. Matthew Hesmer, Grealish or Rafinha? If I was to pick out of those 2 at the moment, Grealish looks pretty nailed, in all fairness, and he's probably just starting, to play. I thought he looked average in the opening games, as in I didn't think he offered anything more that any of the other players offered. People like Sterling, and Bernardo and Foden, all those players. But he slowly seems to be settling in now. So I think I go for Grealish over Rafinha if you can afford him, just because Man City are bound to score loads and loads of goals, right? So that's the reason I go with him. Anil says Lamptey. I don't think he's back yet, but when he is back, Lamptey could be a good. But the only issue with Lamptey is he's just injury prone. He's so injury prone. If you remember last year, he looked incredibly dangerous before he was out, and then he was out, and then he was out for weeks and weeks, and ended up being months and months. And that's the problem. You bring him in, you'd probably be taking him out again. Sad asks about Marney to captain or not. I mean, Marney, I think, this week is a fantastic option. How he didn't score a hat-trick last week, I will never, ever know. He really should have scored more than he did. He had so many shots. He had so many opportunities. And he was rested midweek. So I think he is nailed on to play. I think if you're looking for a differential captain this week, then Marney could be a good shout. I think that's a good shout there. Sad. Obviously, know the risks around effective ownership, about rank swings. If he bangs and Salah doesn't, for example, you will fly up the ranks. If he doesn't bang and Salah bangs, you will fly down the ranks. So just know the risks and make your decisions based on that. Man asks, Fergie, thoughts on Mount out for Gray this week? Would be a -4 hit, but Mount may not play, and Rafinha a doubt too. Trying to free. No, I wouldn't do it, man. I wouldn't be taking out Mount ahead of their game week 7 swing. If you're wild carding in game week 7, then maybe, but Mount's a great pick. And you say about Rafinha, you say he's a doubt. He is a doubt in terms of rumours on Twitter, right? But if you take out Mount and Rafinha, I think you're asking for trouble over the next couple of weeks, personally, buddy. And Gray's been good. He has been good, but it's still Demarai Gray and it's still Everton. I think he'd be good, but I can't see him massively outscoring Mount and Rafinha, so I personally wouldn't do it. I would hold on to it. Chris Ellis, Fergie, thoughts on Kovacic to fit in the premiums? No, I can't go with that, Chris. He doesn't start enough. I think he's only scored 2 goals for Chelsea in his career in the Premier League, or something like that. Looked fantastic last week, but he won't do that every week at all. So I would definitely not go for Kovacic. You're also wasting in my opinion, you're wasting a Chelsea spot there. You could go for Lukaku, Mount, Rudiger, Lukaku, Rudiger, Reece James, or someone like that. So I personally wouldn't do that. Let's show my team, and let's show where we are. A lot of the top FPL team revealers on the hub this week have saved a transfer. Now, I was on an iron with saving a transfer. I was also on an iron with bringing in Bamford. But what I have done is I have brought in Nelson Semedo for Soufal. And this is my team for this week. So I'm playing a 4-5-1 this week. I've got Sanchez in goals. I've got Trent and Shaw. Semedo, who've got, Wolves have got some brilliant fixtures coming up. I've also got Ayling as well. I've had Ayling since game week 1, and I figure that if I'm not going to play Ayling in this game week, wait a pretty hapless Newcastle without Wilson, then when will I play him? So he's not my ideal choice at the moment. I think Leeds look pretty shocking at the back, but I do think that there is a chance of some return. So I'm happy holding Ayling there. I've got 5 then in midfield of Rafinha, Greenwood, Jota, Salah captain, and Ben Rama. And I've got Ronaldo up front as my vice. On my bench, I've got Steele, Livramento, the 4.5 million Richardson striker, and Antonio. So as you can see, the key decisions I had to make this week was around Antonio and what to do with Antonio. I could have afforded Antonio straight to Bamford, but I do love the Antonio fixture against Leeds next week. If Leeds look bad again this evening against Newcastle, and Newcastle score a couple of goals, 2 or 3 goals, people will be queuing up to get Antonio back next week against Leeds. Leeds haven't looked good at the back. They've looked absolutely shocking. I wonder if Bielsa is going to do a bit of a job. Varun asks, Fergie, are you a virgin? Absolutely not, Varun. How can you be a virgin when you look like this? H says, Let's Talk FPL is better. Go over there then, buddy. Shoot off. Ta-ra. Have fun. That's what you want. But this is my team. I've used the one free transfer. I'm probably looking to wildcard in game week 7. I'm at 156k, which I'm really, really happy with at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with my team. I'm pretty hopeful of the ground. The key players I haven't got this week, who I wish I had, obviously wish had Lukaku, right? But they've got, he's got Spurs and Man City. I'm not going to captain him against either of them. So I brought Ronaldo in last week to captain him. I've got Salah now to captain this week, and probably next week against Brentford. Even though I do think Antonio could be a good shout next week, or Ronaldo against Villa as well. Wildcard in 7, triple up on Chelsea, get some Man City in, and really transform this team. If I can get to roughly the top 100k in the next 2 game weeks, and then wildcard in game week 7, I feel I'll be in a really, really good spot for the season. Sevenez says, I'm still waiting on news for Bamford and Rafinha. You're not going to get any, mate, before the deadline. Even Rockstar doesn't get his team news until an hour and a quarter past, and he is literally the only person I would trust. Football Unit, if you follow them, so he was the one who gave us the news last week on Ronaldo starting. He's the only other one, and neither of them have given us a peep yet. George Carra says, -4 for Semedo. Is it worth it? Depends who for. I think, if you're bringing... So I've done it for free this week for Soufal. I probably wouldn't do it for a -4. So the only way I'd bring him in for a -4 is if you're doing it as, to kind of enable another move, or you're doing it for a non-playing player. Personally, that is what I would do there. Obera says, what did Adam do with his team? That is a really good question. I've been away this week, so I'm not 100% sure. We were chatting briefly on text yesterday, and we were talking about a similar move in terms of a Wolves defender, so I'm not sure if he's done it or not. And Nick Pasquet says, Fergie, Rafinha is confirmed okay, and T Robertson Football Unit says Rafinha is fine. If that is correct, then that is great news. Russell Baker and Varane also confirm as well that Rafinha plays. That is absolutely fantastic news, and obviously should quell the nerves of anyone who was a bit concerned about that. That is great news for Rafinha owners, including myself. I really didn't fancy having Livramento off the bench away to Man City. Mazen asks, is Greenwood nailed even after Rashford and Cavani are back? I don't know, but I don't think we've got any rush there. Rashford is going to be weeks away. Cavani is going to be weeks away. Greenwood was rested midweek, which probably means for me he gets 90 this weekend, or at least kind of 70 or 80. I wouldn't worry about Greenwood for 2 or 3 weeks, probably until after the last international break. Sartak asks, Tony and Greenwood to Bamford and Rafinha for a -4, or roll the transfer. Tony and Greenwood to Bamford and Rafinha for a -4. So that's a good question. Oosh. If I was to make a decision there, so I would say no, purely because I don't think you should double up on Leeds personally. They just haven't looked at it yet, right? They might turn, they might come good, but at the moment they haven't really looked at it. Haven't looked at it, so I would say no due to the fact that I wouldn't go for the Leeds double up yet. Dalam asks, do you think Ramsdale is nailed? So Arteta said this week that he doesn't know where all these rumours about confirming keepers are from. He says he makes decision week on week, so I would say he's not nailed. I would say, because they kept a clean sheet last week, that he will probably play, but I wouldn't say he's nailed. And you do not want a keeper who you're wondering if he's going to play every week, so I would not go for him yet. Ross says, Figgy, hope you well. Miss you on Green Arrow. Are you looking to double up on Lukaku or just have one? That's a good question. So for game week 7, I don't think at this moment I'm going to go for all 3, and it's purely because I'm going to want Salah, I think, and I just can't squeeze in 3 premiums. I'm going to want to go heavy at the back as well. I'm going to want Man City players as well as Chelsea players, and I don't want to kind of tie myself in with these 3 premiums and have a host of 6 million midfielders who, as we know, just go in and out of form really, really quickly. Peter Ward says, Damari Gray missing from Everton training videos today. That's an interesting one there, Peter. Hopefully he's okay. Adam H, I've got DCL. If that's you, Adam Hopcroft, you should be here on this stream with me, not in the chat. I've got DCL Antonio out. Ings available. Partner him with Bamford for free, or to -4 to get Ronaldo. That is an interesting one there, but you are getting rid of Antonio there, aren't you? That's the only problem there. I would do it to bring Ronaldo. I'm not sure I would do it if you were getting rid of Antonio. Is the problem, because he has Leeds next week, and Antonio's been fantastic, right? It's only because of his red card last week anyone's considering of getting rid of him for 1 week, but next week everyone's going to want Antonio. I'm absolutely convinced, because Leeds defense is not good. His defense is not good. They haven't got a defense. They're all either injured or suspended, and I can see Antonio being a captaincy option next week. I really, really can. Ashish asks Oba for -4 in place of Ings. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I'll be bringing him in yet for hits, so I would say no to that one. Personally. And Ramaldinho asks, what were my transfers this week? So I made one free transfer this week. I took out Soufal for Semedo. I have got an eye, as I mentioned before, in a game week 7 wildcard. Is my current plan. It could change, but at the moment that is my current plan. Louis says Adama hat-trick confirmed. Come on. I really, really hope it is confirmed. I haven't got him in my team, but my bet with Adam is still going very, very strong. Ali McGregor, Adama has bought a bunt. Oh, fantastic, Ali. So at least he can hit that when he gets home. Wasif Ibrahim, love the name, Fergie time. Indeed, Wasif. We wanted to do this for a couple of years now, and eventually convinced Will to have my own show on. I really, really enjoy doing these deadline streams, just ad-libbing and chatting with all you amazing people who tune in every single week. John Doe asks, White or Livramento? If it's in terms of playing someone this week, it's got to be White. If it's in terms of long-term transfer, I would say Livramento, but obviously Livramento has Man City away this week, which is probably the worst fixture of the season. So if you're saying for 1 week, White, Livramento, long term for me. AJ says thoughts on Pep Roulette and Torre in the 11 tomorrow. Such a tough one. He's played a pretty consistent team. I think I saw earlier that Ake looks like he's going to start. He has had a bereavement in his family this week, but I think he's also said, or Pep said, he's fit and rearing to start tomorrow, because both Stones and Laporte's been confirmed out injured. So it looks like Ake may start tomorrow alongside with Diaz. In terms of Torres, I mean, who knows? With De Bruyne back, Torres has played so many minutes, but I also think he's looked absolutely fantastic. But he's going to want to give De Bruyne, Sterling, etc. some minutes. So I really don't know. It's such a tough one. If I had him, I would play him. If I didn't have him, I wouldn't be bringing him in. I suppose that's what I would do. Thomas says, hi Fergie, greetings from Poland. Greetings, Thomas. Great to have you with us this evening. And CM Freedom, play which two out of Benrahma, Brownhill or Veltman? I won't be playing Brownhill. I'm not sure why anyone would even think of playing Brownhill. He is just bench fodder. So I would play the other two. Bitter. I love the channel, big fan. 6 points ahead of the next person in my league. Currently 6th. Do I go -4 on Benrahma to Rafinha? I personally wouldn't. I don't see the point. It means that Benrahma has got to, he's got to outscore. It means Rafinha's got to outscore Benrahma over the next couple of games. Both of them are that price for a reason. They're not prolific point scorers. I personally wouldn't. And also, you're giving the initiative to someone in second in the league. I would personally hold on. Man United haven't looked good at the back. I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham scored. And the way that Benrahma has been playing, he's been playing well. He nearly did well last week as well. He nearly got the assist for Antonio, I think. So I would personally be leaving Benrahma in. Ali McGregor, bench fodder, lol. Is he anything else? I don't really understand why anyone else thinks Brownhill would be anything other than that. He's just a 4.5 mid. If he wasn't the cheapest player in the game, no one would have him. They've only got him because you have to have him. So I'm not sure why lolling there personally. Just to answer Dennis Misfit, Marcel Semedo. Semedo is more nailed, has better underlying stance, better on the eye test. So that is why I've gone for Semedo over Marcel in my team. Bradley Gowans used my transfer to get Antonio to Bamford before the DCL injury. Now I'm stuck with him. Anyone with a -4 at that price, or just play Sissoko for a week. Personally, probably just play Sissoko for a week. I wouldn't be taking hits personally, unless you can afford a player if you played your wild card, and if there's anyone who you really want for the next 5 or 6 weeks, I would take a hit. If you're playing your wild card in 7 and 8 and you're just getting in someone for a week or so, I probably wouldn't bother. Unless there's someone really, really obvious you want personally. Ibrahim says Bamford or Aubameyang. I think you have to go for Bamford on the stats, though. I do think Aubameyang and Arsenal are going to. I think they're going to improve, and I think that Arsenal, there's no way they're going to finish in the bottom six or seven of the table, right? They will get points, they will get wins. So yeah, Dasmondo, worth a -8 to get and captain Salah. Wow, what a question that is, Dasmondo 95. Worth a -8. I think if you've got Ronaldo or Lukaku, I would probably save. Again, it means that Salah has got to haul, right? For you to even get your money back there, or get your points back rather. So if it's a -8, if it's a -4, I'd be more tempted, but I wouldn't otherwise. I think Ronaldo and Lukaku, potentially even Jota, but definitely Ronaldo and Lukaku are good enough, as captain to oppose Salah this week. I do think that Salah is the best captain option, but I wouldn't be taking a -8 personally for him. But your call there. Swastik on a wild card. Torres or Sa. Also, how about Wolves double F of Marçal and Semedo? Torres or Sa, I would go for Torres. Definitely, he is feast or famine, as we know. He will be like 0, 1, 12, 1, 14, 1, 6, 0, 10. But you got to ride the rough with the smooth there. Sa, to me, probably not as explosive. Hasn't really done much this season. He has been unlucky, but City score more goals than Watford, and City's run, actually, I think it's from game week, I want to say game week 8. They've got a hell of a run. They've got Burnley, Brighton, Palace, Man United, okay, it's hard, and Everton, West Ham, Villa, Watford and Wolves. They've got a fantastic run, so Torres will almost certainly be in my wildcard team come game week 7. What do you think about Brocha? So this is the Southampton forward. Looks a good player, but I think it's probably hard to get excited about him. Don't know, if he's going to play every week. So I certainly wouldn't be bringing him in. And Ronaldinho, captain choices, got to be Salah this week. I'm personally going with Salah. Like I say, this week I'm trying not to be, this season, as I did last season, I'm trying not to be too clever. I'm just going with the obvious pick, which whoever I think, without putting any thought into it, who was the most obvious pick? I'm doing it every week. It was Ronaldo for me last week. It's Salah for me this week. Probably Salah next week, though. We'll see how this week plays out. And Robert Lutas absolutely right. I mentioned this earlier. Said Klopp said he's going to make changes on Saturday. Could it possibly mean Salah starts on the bench? Haven't got a clue what it means. It could mean that, right? But if he does, everyone's in the same boat. I wouldn't overthink it, because if you do overthink it and put it on someone else and Salah starts, gets a couple of goals, you will absolutely kick yourself. To me, fantasy football, and I've learned this over the years, is all about being as comfortable with the decision you can make pre-deadline as you possibly can be. So whatever happens after that, you just go, you just made the best, most sensible decisions you can make with the information you have. Anything after that, you can't do anything about. If he benches Salah, it's tough luck, and lots of people will be in the same boat. Now, just on that, this is about consistency for me. So those people who do that, those who will captain Salah this week thinking he's the best option, knowing the risk of him potentially being benched, are the kind of people who will do well over a whole season, right? You may lose out in 1 week. So if he is benched and he scores nothing or comes on and gets a point, and Ronaldo and Lukaku, Lukaku get a couple of goals, then you're like, but the kind of people, to me, who captain Ronaldo and Lukaku in a week where Salah is clearly the best option, are the people who won't do well over a season. So always bear this in mind. I'm a massive advocate of not this one game does not, 1 game week means nothing. Like overall rank at this point, means nothing. Unless you're, really, really struggling and your team is bad. But if you're ranked at a couple of million, happy with your team, stick to it. Keep making sensible decisions every week. Playing sensibly is the differential these days. I find when I look around, it's early days where we're just over 10% through the season. Keep making sensible decisions. Sibo, thank you, says like the stream. Yes, any likes would be absolutely fantastic. If anyone's watching, you are enjoying, please press the like button. It would be much appreciated. So just 19 and a half minutes left now until the deadline. Is there anyone else? If anyone else has got any last minute questions or decisions to be made or anything, get them in now. Louis Ashton, I have Simicast on my bench. Should I start him and Veltman first sub in the off chance he starts? Personally, I would say no, Louis. I mean, it's up to you, buddy. You went with me on Torres the other week, which worked. Again, I just think if Simicast starts, it will be a massive shock, right? Robertson will likely start. Simicast could start. I don't think he will. If he does, you may get the points off him, but I personally wouldn't. And Emma249, bang on the money as usual. Emma says, best advice, patience is a chip. It is. And Rich Clark said, patience is the chip we're all blessed with, but very few use effectively. David Hayden says, hit like for FPL Karma. Thank you, David. Absolutely, completely agree with that. Benny Factor says Benrahma to Traore, Fergie. Good question. As everyone knows, I'm a big fan of Traore. He hasn't quite done it yet in terms of FPL points. I don't think I would be taking out Benrahma ahead of a flaky Man United, and they've got Leeds next week as well. I'm definitely holding. I would hold. I would hold. I do think Traore is a good pick, as a fourth mid, but I'm not keen on taking Benrahma out ahead of Leeds. Leeds defence over the last few weeks is an absolute mess and will continue likely to look a mess. I would not be surprised at all if they can see the seed. Obviously, though, with Alien in my team, I'm really hoping that they do keep a clean sheet, but I just can't see it. Robert Lutas was thinking maybe a punt on Jesus as captain. It is a punt, and like I always say, as long as you understand it is a punt and the risk that comes with it, if he does well and Salah and Ronaldo don't, you are laughing. You are golden. You have an amazing game week. He doesn't do well and Salah and Ronaldo kick off and you lose out on 10, 14, 15 points. Your season will suffer. So it's your choice there. It's your risk appetite. Joe Thurgood says Saka, Sa or Traore, Fergie. Out of those, I would go for Traore in the short term, but I would go for Saka probably in the medium term personally. I don't really get the love with Sa. Watch him bang a couple of goals now on the weekend. But no, I would personally go for Troy. Would be my first immediate choice, but I do think Arsenal, as I said, are going to pick up over the coming weeks. And as we know, fantasy is not all about the points that have been scored; it is about the points we think that people are going to score. Bradley Gowan says, needed some Fergie to save me from the third panic hit of the season. Absolutely, Bradley, don't do it. Just stay off Twitter, make your mind up, and just make your move. It's the worst thing in the world. These panic hits, they very, very really work. Chris Ellis says, Fergie, you're a great multitasker. I'm not sure what else you think I'm doing here, Chris, but I really appreciate. I'm hoping just talking about, chatting about everything, and the fact that I'm doing a Sky Sports fantasy stream in half an hour after this as well. Hopefully you're just talking about that. James or Rudiger on a wild card from Ming. My first choice would be Rudiger, no doubt, but I'd be very tempted with a double up personally. Shonak says it's going without a Leeds attacker a worry. Purely depends, on who else is in your team. In all honesty, sorry, I've lost the question now. Leeds attacker, purely depends who else is in your team. Leeds do have a wonderful run of fixtures. I would recommend getting one of them in soon. Newcastle is probably a good fixture to get one in for, but you can wait till next week, wait till the week after. There's no massive rush. It's not like they're the captaincy options, or anything. So I wouldn't really worry. Joel Easley, first time on Fergie time, choosing late but loving it. Fantastic. Thank you, Joel. Thanks for the comments. Really do appreciate any likes and any comments I got. I too moved on from Sufal this week, but from Marcel. Hope he keeps his place. I don't regret not going with Semedo instead. Better luck with that, Joel. As I say, I've gone for Semedo as I think Marcel's a bit of risk attached to him, but I think they're both really, really good picks personally. Jan asks about what about Edouard in the coming game weeks? Yeah, I think he's a good pick. I just think it's his price point, and if everyone is looking to get on Ronaldo and Lukaku, as no doubt some of us will in game week 7. I personally, so the most successful seasons I have had, and this is very much a personal thing, but it's when I've chucked in a 4.5 million striker in, which, as you can see now with my team, I've got Lewis Richardson for Burnley as the 4.5 million striker just sat there. My thinking at the moment is to do the same on wildcard and probably go for potentially Lukaku and Bamford, I think, and spread my cash across the back, getting players like Cancelo, Rudiger, Trent, and players like that is my current thinking. If you hover money around that 6 million area, it's very dangerous because you're kind of stuck. It normally takes a hit to get out of it. Paul Drake asks, Cancelo or Diaz for Man City defence? I would. I'm tempted by the double up when I wildcard. I'm tempted by going Diaz, Cancelo, and Torres in my wildcard. I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go triple Chelsea, triple Man City, and just go for the big guns. Go for it. If I was to pick between Cancelo or Diaz, my head says Diaz, my heart says Cancelo. I think Cancelo looks incredibly dangerous, and with Mendy not around at the moment, I think Cancelo is probably the best one for me. FPL Hogmeister, first time here for Fergie time, enjoying it. Keep it up, mate. Fantastic, great to have you with us. Hogmeister, not sure if you're the Hogmeister off Faisal. Let me know if you are. We used to have many battles years ago if it was. Boom TH, Livramento or Gallagher for bench this week. Got to be Livramento this week. You have to go for Gallagher, who is on set pieces. I would bench Livramento without any shadow of a doubt. Ahmed says TAA for captain. Personally, I go for Salah, but TAA is it's a brave one, right? He could bang, he could not. It only takes a goal against them, and I personally go for Salah. I've got Trent in my team. More than happy to have Trent in my team. I can't believe he's not more owned. He's only something like I can't remember exactly, but I think he was only about kind of something like 35% owned or something like that, which I find absolutely crazy. He is like one of the best players in the whole game. Richard, do you reckon we'd invest in a Leeds United defender? Nope, not at the moment. I've got Ayling, but only because I've had him since game week 1. I wouldn't buy a Leeds defender. They look absolutely shocking. Potentially even game week 7 onwards, I might. But at the moment, while all the defenders are either injured or suspended, I wouldn't be getting one in for the next few. Charlie, hi Fergie, I'm in the same boat. Do I keep all 3 West Ham or transfer Creswell out and keep Ben Rama? I'm personally keeping my attackers because attacking fixtures, they've obviously got United this week, but they've got Leeds next week. I think Leeds will probably score against West Ham, but I think West Ham got a good chance of scoring a couple of goals against them, so that's why I'm keeping the attackers in Benrahma and Antonio. That's why I've got rid of Soufal this week, because I say I'm like a wild card in game week 7. Cheetan Reddy says, will Smith Rowe start? He didn't start last week, but then he was ill in the week, so maybe that's the reason he didn't start. Again, he nearly scored last week. I think he looks really good. I think he's another one. So when I'm talking about my wildcard team, I'm going to need a cheap 4th mid, and Smith Rowe and Gallagher at the moment are probably fighting out for that. He's looked very dangerous. Arsenal are having a lot of shots. It is only a matter of time before Arsenal kick on. Personally, Isaac, should I remove Greenwood to get Ronaldo and lose 8 points? Absolutely not. Don't do that, Isaac. There's no need to do that. The only reason why I would even consider doing that, I wouldn't do it for this week in isolation. If you're planning on captaining Ronaldo next week, that is the only reason why I would do it, because I would take a hit personally to get the captain in I wanted. But Greenwood and Ronaldo this week, they've got a difficult fixture away to West Ham. Ronaldo would have to have at least one return, with Greenwood having nothing to even pay that back. But next week's captaincy is one to think about for Ronaldo. Peter Gray says, look how much red is in that team, and imagine a sea of blue in a few weeks. Keep great content. Absolutely. And this is the reason for the wild card, is because I normally only like to wild card if I'm transforming my team, and it will be a complete transformation of my team in game week 7. Hopefully if I can get into the top 100k in the next 2 game weeks, I'll be absolutely over the moon. We will see. Akib says Simicas or Manquillo to start. Tough one there, Akib. I would go for Simicas. over Manquillo because I think Leeds are going to score a goal or two. If Tsimikas start, I don't think he will, but if he does start, you have a chance of a clean sheet. If he doesn't start, I think it's unlikely he comes on, in which case you get your bench player anyway. That's the only reason I would probably start Tsimikas there. James Barker, start Reece James or Cody. I think you always have to start Reece James personally. It is a tough one because you never know. He's a tough one in FPL. In other fantasy games, you get part clean sheets for Reece James when he comes on. That's why I've got him in the format. So I've got him in FPL. Not really sure yet because he does tend to get rested once in a while, but he can also as everyone knows, very, very capable of getting a massive haul as well. Greenwood or Torres. I feel like I'm back in game week 4. Greenwood or Torres. I'm not sure I'd bring either in this week. If you're talking about playing one this week, I'd probably play Torres, but I'm not sure I'd be bringing him in this week. Torres may or may not start. Greenwood looks good, but away to West Ham isn't exactly the best fixture. I wouldn't buy either this week personally. Benrahma staying. Jake Tyner, he's staying in my team for next week against Leeds. Absolutely 100%. I think that is a really, really good fixture for West Ham next week. Dixie Nomas, Wolves defence, Mark Allen, Semedo and a wildcard. What do you think, Fergie? Yeah, I think they are flavour of the moment, which is why I may not be tempted to double up. I think they may do you okay, for a couple of weeks time. But as we know, FPL changes a lot. It goes in cycles, doesn't it? Of 2, 3, 4 game weeks. In 4 game weeks, people may say, "Why the hell did we bring in Wolves defenders?" Or "Why the hell did we bring in?" If I was wildcard, and I would be building a very, very sustainable long-term team with the best players in the game. And maybe having one Wolves defender personally, but then maybe having, someone like Livramento or Duffy or something like that as a 4.1 personally. Michael D says Greenwood without a doubt there. Okay, last question or two. There's only 8 minutes left till the deadline. If you haven't pressed confirm, I think you should. I think everyone should also check their teams to make. I'm going to have a check on mine as well, actually, just to make sure that I have pressed save and confirm, because I've done that before, believe it or not. I've been chatting about my team for ages and then hasn't actually saved the changes. Yes, I've saved mine. Make your changes, everyone. Don't forget to make your changes. 8 minutes left until the FPL deadline. Last couple of questions. Tolu asks, why isn't anyone bringing in KDB? Probably because there's so many fantastic, expensive options, such as Ronaldo, Lukaku, and Salah. You just can't afford everyone at the moment. KDB is probably bottom of the menu. I would even probably pick Marney ahead of De Bruyne. At the moment, personally, it doesn't look like he's on penalties either, which is massive. You think Ronaldo and Salah and probably Lukaku probably all on penalties as well, whereas Mahrez took the penalty midweek, and Carbonaro, Hey Fergie, Bamford or Jimenez help. If I was going out with them, to probably go for Bamford over Jimenez personally. Just thinking of over 6 or 7 game weeks. In one game week, anything can happen, right? But over 6 or 7 game weeks, Bamford probably looks a better pick. Personally, FPL SWAT bricking it about Rafinha now, no bench. Same as me, buddy. I'll be bringing on Livramento, but what will be, mate. You've been playing the game long enough, SWAT, to know that you've just got to be comfortable with your decision before the deadline and then not worry about it. Dalan, best rotating option for Gallagher in long term. Assume as in rotating, you mean in defence. In midfield, I'd probably go for Smith Rowe personally. In defence, 5.5. Reece James probably long term, even though I am a bit concerned about his minutes. But like I say, when he does play, he can be a bit like Torres, I think. Absolute feast or famine. Sam Dorres, Benrahma to Veltman, or Ayling to start. I wouldn't pick Ayling. I've got Ayling in my team, but it's more, it's not by design, should we say, with everything going on at Leeds defence at the moment. Okay, I am going to bid farewell there. One last question. I had a couple of questions about captain, Ronaldo or Salah. My thinking is, watching Ronaldo over the last couple of games, United haven't had a great lot of chances. He's an elite finisher, right? He's had 3 decent finishes. United haven't looked that fantastic, I would say. We still don't know who's on pens. West Ham have started the season incredibly well. Don't forget, if they'd have won last weekend, West Ham would have been top of the table, for a period at least. Palace do look good, but Salah home at Anfield, I think it's just a case personally of don't overthink it. Richard said Ings in. Richard, I'm not sure what you're smoking, but I would not be bringing Danny Ings in personally at the moment. Watch him score a hat-trick now, and Richard will be the one with the last laugh, but there are far better options in that bracket. Barnesy boy, quick thoughts on Lukaku captain all the Spurs injuries. Yeah, I do. If you want to go for Lukaku, if you have Salah, go for Salah. But there's nothing wrong with Lukaku. And that is it from me this evening. If you did enjoy this stream, really appreciate it. If you would press the like button and also drop me a follow on Twitter, just under my microphone here at FFH_Fergie. Always posting lots of FPL content as well as for all other fantasy games as well. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen, our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ. Make sure you drop us a follow. Everything is on the left hand side as you're looking now. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta-stats, top player team reveals, points predictions tools, and much more. Join the thousands, tens of thousands actually, of other fantasy managers. Sign up to the hub to use all our amazing resources. Click the top link in the description below for a free 7-day trial. You will not regret it. I absolutely promise you. I will be back just before the Game Week 6 deadline. I will also be back on the Green Arrow with Adam Hopcroft in the week. Have an amazing Game Week 5, and may all your arrows be green. Goodbye for now.